Hello, my name is Emma and welcome back to It Gets So Lonely Here. So it's been a while since I played this. Last time we switched into the Gravedigger Commoner route, so let's continue. Your eerie dreams notwithstanding, you sleep more comfortably than you've ever anticipated. When you awake the following morning to the sweet chirping of birdsong, you feel well rested, albeit woozy, from all the drugs that she might have shoved into you. Your head is aching. It is nothing, however, that a cup of hot tea cannot fix. I don't actually drink that much tea, but it is what it is for a rich person. Rich, fancy English person, probably. You stumble into the kitchen in your night clothes. Your hair loose and your feet bare, and then the gravedigger turns to you. She looks at your face, which is pasty, and your under eyes, which are dark, and exclaims in a manner of one accustomed to solving problems, not complaining about them. "Oh, you look awful. I think you need something warm to drink, and maybe you need something to eat too. Let me get started on breakfast." And that is exactly what she does. She gets started on breakfast, which proves to be quite the simple affair, nothing like the luxurious food you were accustomed to in your past life. That's why... Wait, past life? Oh, past life as in before, not past life as in died and reincarnated. Been reading too much reincarnation, man. Reincarnation and isekai, pretty solid, but also meh these days, a little too generic for me. The bread is hard enough to break your teeth on, and the cheese is a bit too strong. Well, I never did like cheese anyway, so moving on. It is food all the same, though, and you do not complain. Your stomach was beginning to grumble. The tea is inoffensive at least, and you drink it gratefully. Dude, you've been complaining this whole time about someone else's food. You rich person, calm the fuck down. You thank the gravedigger girl for her hospitality, and she smiles at you in return. A sunny smile, like a field of blooming bellflowers. "It's no problem. Don't hesitate to ask me if you need anything else," she says, words which come to symbolize your relationship. Basically, like a mother to her child, I am her child, if that cannot be told. You stay with the gravedigger for many, many more days, and you limited through her means might be, she always tries to help you. The gravedigger sets your chores around the house to keep you occupied, a fact for which you are grateful. Thank you, mother, for giving me work to do. You need to do something to keep your mind off your frantic flight through the forest. True, we still don't know about the person. Are they the narrator? I thought they were the narrator. That's what I remember. But maybe they're actually not. You can almost forget about it now, during the day. During the night, however, it returns to you, the sound of your feet going thump 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 against the foliage and the swirling fog. When you sleep, you're assailed with nightmares. Well, I mean, it's a situation, you know. The yandere's gotta do what they gotta do. Sometimes you wake after midnight, and the sheets twisted around your body and your mouth gaping open in a paroxysm? Paroxysm? Is that how you say it? Paroxysm. Of terror. Though you try to tell yourself otherwise, you, of course, are still afraid. The narrator is here with you always. They might take you down in the next 3 seconds. Being with the gravedigger makes you feel less so, though. Particularly when you're sweeping the floor or keeping an eye on the bread loaves so they do not burn. So you're telling me that the gravedigger just makes hard bread? Tell me the bread is fresh and they're just making it real hard for you? I mean, toughen you up, I guess. You attend to the most domestic of chores, while the gravedigger concerns herself with the work she knows best. That is, digging graves, mostly one for you. Her dogged persistence when it comes to the pursuit intrigues you. So much that you cannot help but posit a question to her on one particular morning, when the sky is festooned with clouds. I keep forgetting how poetic the language is in this game, and how my brain can't do poetry. Why, you ask, perhaps a touch insensitively, do you continue to dig graves? There's one for you, babe. You wanna hop into my grave? Don't attribute that to me ever again. I said nothing. There's nothing left, after all, to dig them for. You've always been practical, and you cannot see the point in this. What's the point in it? The gravedigger ponders while holding her precious shovel to her chest. Well, it's the only thing she has at this point, right? It's the only thing she has from her dad, too. You taught her how to grave dig. We're not going to include the house. Fortunately, she does not seem upset by her question, despite its bluntness. Come on, narrator, give me some slack. I've known her for like a week, maybe. You should count yourself lucky her temperament is so very placid. I don't suppose there's any point to it, really, the gravedigger eventually says with a small smile. I know it doesn't have any practical purpose yet, until you die, but, well, digging graves is what my father did. He showed me how to do it so I could continue his legacy. My father wanted me to continue our family tradition, so I suppose I wanted to do the same. Told you, it's a papa thing. A daddy's dead issue. Not even a father issue. That's all there is to it, really. And that's all, is it? Well, when are you? Well, eventually you run out of land to make graves, though, if I'm being honest. I wonder. Will she just continue digging graves forever? You think you can understand that? Though your companion's actions might appear to be illogical, there's a kernel of reason nestled amongst them. She does not dig graves out of a sense of purpose, she does it instead out of sentiment, like me running away from yanderes and then meeting other yanderes. I just miss them. I miss the feeling of being chased and hunted down. Besides, I have to do something to keep myself busy, don't I? If I spent my days idling away, all on my own, I think I'd go mad. The gravedigger laughs at this, as though the prospect of her own madness is amusing. One of us, you know, one of the yanderes. Her laugh, despite her slender stature, is not particularly delicate. It reminds you, perhaps unkindly, of the braying of a horse. Okay, that's kind of mean. If I'm being honest, that actually is kind of mean. You're ashamed of thinking such a thing, though, and your face flushes from the guilt of it, 'cause you're being mean, okay? We cannot all be well-bred young ladies, you know? Still, the laughter of the gravedigger as it echoes through the gray, gloomy sky is strangely desperate. For companionship? For death? It sounds forced. Her smile, too, is a touch unnatural. The rictus grin of a corpse. You find, despite your attempts to return her laughter with a polite giggle, hehe, that you cannot. You cannot help but pity her. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess she did go through the plague, but it still wasn't nice to, you know, say she laughed like a horse. You retreat indoors briefly after your talk with the gravedigger, then set about some simple chores. The gravedigger trusts you well enough to manage sweeping the floor, a task which does not take particularly long, and the preparing of the meals, a task which only takes slightly longer. It is not until much later, however, once the sun is already sunk beneath the horizon and the moon is high in the sky, that the gravedigger returns from the outdoors. She is windswept after many hours spent exposed to the elements, and there's dirt caked beneath her fingernails. Does your fingernails get dirt in it if you're using a shovel? It's not like she's clawing through it. Also, any noise is upstairs neighbors. Just heads up if you hear it. If not, well, ignore that then. The gravedigger removes her cloak, which she hangs by the door, then looks to the pot suspended over the fire. A fire which you stoked with your own fair hands. Oh my god, our hands are so it's like the frickin' meme. The my hands are like this, so her hands are like this. Oh my god. It just means we're meant to be. The scent of cooking food, that is, of garlic and onion, fill the air, suffusing the interior of the kitchen with a homey aroma, which makes your stomach rumble. That's the food I'm making though, right? I think? Taking stock of this, the gravedigger smiles at you. A toothy smile, which, despite her status as a lowly peasant, is surprisingly clean and bright and white. That's some witchcraft around here. I don't remember much dental hygiene back in ye old days. Thank you so much, dear one. There's nothing like returning home after a hard day's work to find dinner already prepared. Now let me give it a test. The gravedigger digs a spoon into the soup, then brings it to her lips. She blows upon it. Then she places the spoon in her mouth, the wooden utensil clanking against her teeth. Does it clank? It's more of a clunk. A clunk is like a duller sound. It's more of a clunk. You observe this with a touch of anxiety. Will she like the food which you prepared for her? You've cooked for her before in the past, and she was always very complimentary of your efforts. Cooking is not your forte, however. You never had to concern yourself with it, really, growing up in a relative comfort as you did. Rich people, once again, we keep calling up the rich people thing in this one. Probably to compare, though, commoner versus rich people. You think that you enjoy this rural, rustic mode of existence more than you did any of the privileges in your past life. I guess it's more like, here is a more physically grueling, although maybe not a lot. I don't know much about her situation right now, even if the narration. But back then it was like very mentally grueling for the main character. We'll see. Actually, I hope we'll see. Or at least I'll figure it out somehow. But for now, it's like, yeah, she's been through a lot. At least now, with the Gravedigger, you have a steadfast friend, a staunch ally, a buff, no, not buff, she's thin. A thin but strong lady on my side. Oh, whoa. When you're with her, you're not alone, and that is worth its weight in gold. The Gravedigger exclaims after drawing the spoon from her lips. Her smile, a bright, guileless one. It's delicious. Your face flushes at this compliment. Pretty lady called my food tasty? Oh my god! You are accustomed to receiving them, and it makes you feel good. Shyly, you ask the Gravedigger if she truly means that, a query which makes the Gravedigger smile. Of course I mean it. You've become quite good at cooking, really. This is a relief. You're not very good at all this cooking malarkey in the beginning. Oh my gosh, don't call it malarkey. Come on, girl. It's not like it's a freaking spell. You did not know how to handle a knife, nor how to peel a vegetable, and you cut yourself more than once. You bled into the soup on several occasions. It's okay, that's a yandere thing. You're becoming one of them. But never once did you throw that silly soup out. Okay, I'm kind of scared of this soup. Maybe she does have the makings of a yandere in her. The Gravedigger lives a humble existence, and she cannot afford to waste her precious ingredients. Your soup during your stay have all been seasoned with the slightest hint of iron, the tasty taste of blood. Today's soup, however, is a marked step above all the rest. You did not cut yourself with the knife even— oh, so it's bloodless soup. Maybe your companion's compliments are not an empty fluff. Maybe you really are improving. Good for you, girl. You know what? Good for you. After everything, good for you. You've been through a lot. This soup should be ready to serve. I have some bread too that we can eat with, but oh, I should brew some tea too. Let me. Ah yes, the tea. You knew you were forgetting something. Clumsy me, rich girl life. You were so focused on the soup, it must have slipped your mind. Your face flushes again, yet at this oversight, and shyly you offer to correct it. The Gravedigger, however, waves your request aside. No, it's alright. You make the dinner, so I'll brew the tea. It's only fair, and it won't take that long. Would you mind serving up the soup while I'm busy? Of course you would not mind. You do enjoy making yourself useful. Okay, that's kind of sad sounding though, but I mean, I guess, yeah. For a lady, you're awfully domestic. I mean, okay, if we're going by the standard gender roles, yeah, let her be domestic. And if we're not going to, regardless, let her be fucking domestic, okay? She's lived a hard life. Let her do what she wants. You work alongside the Gravedigger to finish your nightly meal, and together you serve it. Soup and bread, alongside 2 cups of piping hot tea, prepared by your hostess's own 2 hands. Did she wash her hands? Are these dirt hands still? I mean, do we have the luxury of washing their hands? You sit together at the table, then partake in this simple fare, after saying grace. Ah, we are religious people too. The soup really is quite good, despite it being made from only the most commonplace of ingredients. There's a bit of a kick to it, and it warms you from the inside out. The tea, meanwhile, is very soothing, so much so it makes you feel rather sleepy. Ah, I knew it! She drugged the tea, bro! She drugged the tea. You would like to sit with the gravedigger for a little while longer and tell stories, as you have sometimes in the past. That, or play cards. The nights are long and there's no better way to pass them than spending time with her. Games of Old Maid, alas, will have to wait. You're too tired for it. You do not know what happened, but after consuming your victuals— what is a victual? You feel utterly fatigued. This game just makes me feel stupid a lot, too. You explain your predicament to the gravekeeper, or gravedigger, between your yawns, and she nods in response. As expected, you've fallen into my trap. That's alright. You don't need to stay up with me, not if you ain't up to it. You should head off to bed and rest that pretty head of yours. You do not think that you are particularly pretty, but you presume that the gravedigger is just regurgitating a phrase to you. She does not truly mean it. Poor girl, though. We've seen her before in the, past CG. She's pretty cute. How could she? She's far prettier than you are. I think we're talking two different aesthetics, right? The gravedigger is like a moonlight fairy type of aesthetic. You're like a naive child is kind of weird way of saying it. Naive posh girl kind of aesthetic, which both are nice in their own ways. You thank the gravedigger for her understanding, then rise from the table. You retreat to the spare bedroom on trembling legs, then change out of your clothes. Do legs tremble when you're sleepy? Aren't they just more like— for me, it's more like a clunk 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 type of thing, where it's like stiffer, because I don't want to bend them. You have only just slid into your nightgown when you hear the rapping of knuckles on your door, light and unobtrusive. This rapping could, of course, only belong to one person. It is the gravedigger coming to check up on you. I'm sorry, the gravedigger said, her voice soft, but you rushed to your room so soon after eating. I couldn't help but worry about you. Would you mind if I took a look at you? I just want to see if you're alright, and if you're actually gonna fall asleep. The gravedigger is trying to keep her voice steady, but you can hear it wavering regardless from the lies she spouts. She really does sound concerned, so much so she could very well be on the brink of tears. You do not want her to cry for you. You would feel horribly guilty if you upset her, even inadvertently, given all the things she's done for you. You bid the gravedigger entry into your room, therefore, without further delay, an invitation she hastens to take. Ooh, the door sound was not good. I didn't like that one. The door swings inward with a creak. There your hostess stands, still attired in black. Her clothes the stark contrast to your pure white. Well, off-white. It's not exactly fully clean, I think, at this point, so it might be the reason why it's off-white. Nightgown. The gravedigger looks at you and, seated in bed with your hair freed from your usual braids, and exhales. Is that relief, you wonder, playing on her face? But why? What was she expecting to see exactly before entering your bedchamber? I don't know, maybe she thought you were dead. She's gone through the plague. Thank you for letting me in, the gravedigger says, toying with her fingers. How do you feel? Not too terrible, you reassure her. There's no particular problems with your health, you just feel tired from the drugged tea that we probably drank. Are you sure you're not sick? Your face does look a bit pale. That would be nothing out of the norm. You were always pale, introvert things, you know, never getting that sunlight. True. Now, is there anything I can do for you? Would you like something warm to drink, or maybe a hot brick placed in your bed? It would keep you warm. A hot brick? I wonder how that works. Do they just put a brick in your bed so, like, the heat circulates between your warm blanket? Smart? Or maybe dumb? I don't know. You appreciate your hostess's thoughtfulness, but you reassure her that that won't be necessary. You'll be fine. I hope so. I thought that about my father too, before he, well... Yeah. The gravedigger begins, but her voice soon trails off. She does not finish that thought, obviously. I expected that. She does not need to, yes, as expected. You know now what she's thinking of before she entered your bedroom. Cold, clammy skin, a sweating brow, rank oozing of pustules. You think upon these symptoms, which are eerily similar to those recounting during the Great Plague which once beset your own country, and you shudder. If you don't want anything, then I'll be on my way, the gravedigger says. But before that... Before what? Haha, this was just a fancy on my part, but I was wondering, would you mind if I, brushed your hair for a little? Okay, this would be so cute if it wasn't a yandere thing. I already know the premise of this game. Your hair? That's right, it has such a pretty shade of red, is all. I just thought. Well, it's just a fancy, really. Oh, she's into redheads, ayo. You don't have to let me, not if you don't really want to, but I thought it would help you relax if you're feeling under the weather. I've heard it's supposed to be soothing. That is what the gravedigger says, but you have the distinct feeling that she's looking for solstice here. Solence here. Not solstice. She's not looking for solstice. She is not quite so selfless, perhaps, as she would like you to think. But she's been so very good to you and has done so many things for you that you do not want to begrudge her from her small self-indulgence. Wait a second. This is a little small, ain't it? There we go. You think, rather, she deserves it. She's been through a plague. I'm gonna keep bringing that up. She's been through a plague. So, I mean, yeah. You agree, therefore, to her request, and upon doing so, you're certain you make the right choice. Well, being in this forest was the wrong choice in general. Remember the mermaid? Yeah, her. Your hostess's face lights up immediately, in a manner that makes you blush. Oh, thank you. It'd be my honor. Now let me fetch my brush. How are we not asleep at this point, though? If you're like that sleepy. The gravedigger returns from your room in a hurry. The gravedigger retreats from your room in a hurry, but returns soon thereafter, holding in her right hand the promised brush. The artifact, that's not how I would spell artifact, acquired. The gravedigger then settles herself upon your bed, by your side. She looks at your hair for a few moments, her expression pensive. Then she announces that she will begin. The gravedigger leans in. The wooden frame of the bed creaks under her weight, a creak which melts with the sighing of the breeze outdoors. You can feel the bristles of the brush running through your hair. It is soothing enough, so much so it makes you shiver. The sensation is a pleasant one and somewhat nostalgic. Did your mother do this for you, you wonder, when you were a little girl? If she did, it must have been when you were a very little girl. You have not seen your mother in quite some time, not after you enrolled at the conservatoire. Conservatoire? Oh, you have such lovely hair, dear one. It's soft just like silk, not at all like mine. Mine is so coarse. That's the gentle voice I'm definitely using. This gentle voice draws you out of your vague, half-formed reminiscences. It sounds as though the gravedigger is lost in nostalgia of her own, because her voice, when she speaks next, is dreamy. I think my mother used to brush my hair like this. For me. Back when she was still alive. That must have been a long time ago, though. It is funny, you think, as the bristles of the brush continue to slide through your tresses, and you and the gravedigger should both be reminiscing in tandem about your respective mothers. Perhaps there's something maternal in the act of brushing one's hair, which is wont to I know, I kind of know what it means, but like, I don't know how to say it. Which is wont to summoning forth such images. I mean, I would not know personally, yeah, because you're a voice. I cannot remember my own mother at all. I don't think I liked having my hair brushed very much. The gravedigger continues, her breath warm against the exposed nape. Are you sitting in bed? Are you sitting with your back to her in bed? My mother used to complain that I squirmed too much. I can remember that. She always told me to sit still, though it wasn't my fault I squirmed. She used too much force. Oh, now this is curious. It sounds as though the reminiscences of the gravedigger are not particularly fond after all. Did you not get along with her mother? I can't rightly say, the gravedigger replies in a somber sort of voice. I was young, like I said, when she died. I really don't remember her too well. But I don't think she ever had that much time for me. She was too busy with all the cooking and the cleaning and looking after my baby brothers. But she had time enough, despite that, to brush your hair. She did what she felt she had to make me look presentable. Not that it really worked. Yeah, I think all these characters, if we're gonna compare this and we're gonna maybe attribute it to our protagonist, it might be the fact that I think all these yanderes kind of like, how do you say, not emasculate, that's not the right word, emulate her in some way. So maybe she has some, you know, unfinished business with her own mother. I wasn't like the other girls she wasn't like the other girls, you know, you see, who like to sit indoors with their mothers and too. I've always loved the outdoors. My father said I inherited it from him. Ruefully, the gravedigger smiles, not that you can see it with your back facing her. Yeah, we're definitely sitting. My mother said I wasn't very well, maidenly. She didn't like that I was always traipsing around after my father, watching as he dug graves. Okay, that's a little more of it. I'd be kind of scared. She said it wasn't appropriate, like I was some sort of princess wearing a fine dress. The gravedigger snorts. I wonder if it sounds like a horse. I used to get a bit muddy, yes, and maybe I did get burrs in my clothes and knots in my hair, but it shouldn't have mattered. It's not like I ever had hopes of marrying a prince, no matter what my mother said. But still, she hoped. She had a lot of hopes, my mother. High hopes. I think she might have resented my father, maybe, for working such a menial job. Our profession is an honest one, but it's never made much money. I think my mother was hoping for fine jewels and dresses and— Well, maybe you shouldn't have married your father then, madame. Oh, I don't know. She's always had ideas. Her head was full of fairy tales. It was a shame, I suppose, that her reality didn't match up to what she wanted. I didn't match up to what she wanted. Oh my gosh, it's the thing. Your mother wants to, like, wants you to take over her dreams, but you ain't it. That ain't it. The bitterness in your friend's voice is unmistakable, so much so you want to console her. What would you say to her, though? Good job, your mom's dead. Your mom's dead. You don't have to worry about it. Oh, okay, don't say that, don't say that. You never met your companion's mother. You never will either, because she's dead. Her cold, inert body has been laying in the graveyard, buried beneath a tombstone, for over a decade. You have no way of ascertaining whether your companion's mother truly cared for her. You do have intelligence enough, however, to understand that poorly thought out condolences can cause more harm than good. You would not like it if people tried to reassure you that of course your father loved you, really. If he loved you, then why did he send you away from home? True. Unless he was like the type that's like, oh, I want to send my kid away so they have a better future, but we don't know her life. Why did he never send you any letters? Maybe he's dead, girl. Maybe he dead. You know he was worried about his finances, but that seems a poor excuse to pretend that his only daughter did not exist. As for your own mother, meanwhile, she was nice, at least you think she was, but she was woefully ineffectual. Though she was nominally an adult, she always cleaved before your father's judgment. You think that, well, she was afraid of him. You do not try to tell the gravedigger, therefore, that her mother loved her, that she must have done, else she would not have given birth to her. Instead, you sit there, letting the brush run through your hair, and you say quietly that you understand. Sometimes you feel like a disappointment yourself. Hey, come with the gang, let's go! Well, the gravedigger says, after a pause, I guess I'm not the only one. I guess it happens to all of us. You guess so? I mean, I guess so too, man. Maybe the narrator guesses so too. Parents are only people, after all. While one would hope one's parents would be kind and attentive, they too can fall victim to the caprices of their own. Just because one has brought a child into this world, it does not mean one will be able to take care of it properly. True! Preach! Also, your narrator, are you speaking, or is this like your dialogue? Because I still can't tell when you are you and you are kinda not you. Not all parents are responsible, just as not all people are responsible. It is a painful subject. Oh, well, it's alright if I know that mother never liked me, or even if she never loved me. I know my father did, and that's all that matters. He was always there for me no matter what. The companion's voice catches in her throat. She winces. At least, well, until he wasn't, because he took a dip in the plague ocean. He died, and I didn't do a thing to help him. Your companion's shoulders are starting to shake. You still cannot see her, but you can feel her body convulsing. You can? Your back is turned, and the only thing touching you is a hairbrush. You can sense her loneliness rolling off her in waves. It is all-consuming like the waters of a deep, dark ocean. Grief anew pierces your heart, not on your behalf, but for the sake of your own benefactress. She does not deserve to suffer so much, but it's what happens, you know? This you have no qualms with telling her. You turn to face her, you pluck the brush which has been hovering in the air inert from her fingers. Then you let her know that her father's death was not her fault. True. What else could she have done? She could not have cured his illness. I know, but I can't help but think, what if? I keep racking my head over and over, trying to come up with some. But I can't think of anything. And even if I could, it's too late. He's already dead. He's dead and buried. I buried him, and now I'm all alone. She might have been alone, you tell the gravedigger, but she isn't now. Not anymore. How can she be when you're there? I know that, and I'm grateful, but I don't know if I deserve it. Why would she not deserve your company? You do not understand. It's the mindset, you know? She got that mindset. The one where she thinks she don't deserve nothing because her pa died and she thought she could have done something. Because I couldn't do nothing for nobody. See? My father always looked out for me when I was a little girl, but when he needed me the most, I failed him. I failed everyone. True, everyone is dead. All the village, all of my friends, all died. What would I do if the same thing happened to you? I don't think I could bear it. What you do is you make her into you stuff her. What's it called? That thing where you like, when a pet dies or something and you like stuff them full of fluff after you empty that or something? That sounds really gross, but like that's something that happens. What is it? I don't know. Like memorialize her at least. I don't want you getting sick too, not when I care about you so much. Oh shit, romantic confession time. I thought I'd been used to being on my own, and now that you're here, it's making me worry all over again. I've been worrying so much I can't sleep from it. I'm scared. Your companion's voice catches in her throat. Then she collapses in on herself. She leans forward, her arms wound around her middle as if to steady herself, and she cries. We're not gonna die? I'm sorry, this whole time I thought she was gonna bury us. She cries and she cries and she cries. For a few moments, you look at the gravedigger, unsure of what to do. Dude, give her a hug, man. Even if she's gonna kill you, give her a hug. She's having a hard time. Her pale face, streaked with silvery tears, seemed to flicker in the candlelight. Her shoulders, which seemed too slender to bear the accumulative weight of all the sorrows she's endured, are shaking. Your fatigue continues to cling to you, as insistent as the fog which rolls amongst the tombstones in the graveyard at night. You are not so very tired, however, that you cannot offer your hostess some comfort. You do not know what you can say to console her, you feel too weary to think of pretty sophisms. But there is something you can think of. You would not typically be so bold, of course, but you are tired enough for once to allow caution to the wind, to throw caution to the wind. That and the tears of the gravedigger are awfully arresting. I knew it! Hug! Hug! You open your arms and before the gravedigger can pass comment, you pull her to your chest. Wow, wait, your hair is shorter than I thought too. Oh. A soft exclamation escapes the lips of the gravedigger, quieter than the sound of wintry snow as it brushes the ground. Then, there is nothing. The gravedigger is stiff in your arms for a few moments, like the corpse she and her father used to seal away inside their wooden coffins. She is all wide eyes and awkward, pointed elbows, tears still coursing down her pale cheeks. You worry briefly, as you hold her, that you have perhaps made a mistake. Were your attempts to console her too clumsy? You would not know. You would have never been in a situation like this before. You have never consoled any friends before because you have never had friends to console. That's a friend right there, though. We thought the mermaid was our friend though. Remember guys, keep in mind, yandere visual novel. It is not so now, however. You are as far away from your old life as it is possible to be, and the gravedigger does not curse you for your impudence. Neither does she try to squirm away from you. Instead, she sits there, still as a statue, cradled in your arms. Oh, I'm very sorry to show you something so embarrassing. It just gets so lonely sometimes. I mean, that's the name of the game, girl. Until, at long last, with a breathy sob, she lets the full weight of her body fall against yours. You run your hand against the sobbing companion's shoulder blades and her back and gently soothe her. You tell her that she does not need to apologize. There's no shame in crying, for real. You hug her for many, many minutes while she sobs against your chest, wetting the front of your nightgown. No further words pass between you that night, and they do not need to. Words are irrelevant in a moment as tender as this, and shared between two souls who have come to understand one another through mutual loneliness. You slide beneath your sheets, you still feel exhausted, and the gravedigger joins you without asking for— oh shit, we sleeping in the same bed now? It would be an unnecessary piece of politeness, really, given your acceptance is all but assured. You have already accepted the gravedigger, after all. Every single inch of her. You have accepted her hospitality. You have accepted her food. Now, you are accepting her company. You arrange yourself beneath the sheets, then draw her body to yours. Give her a big ol' hug. The gravedigger has not yet changed into her nightwear, but who cares, because we're all pretty dirty anyway. Her clothes will be horribly rumpled when she awakes come the following morning, her head rested against your chest. But tomorrow has ceased to matter. It no longer exists. There is no concept of time between the two of you, no thoughts of the day which will dawn once this night inevitably ends. Instead, there is only the warmth shared between you, and the wetness of the cheeks of the gravedigger. There is the sound, irregular, now and less intense than before, of your companion's muted, muffled sobs. There's this gentle, tender moment snatched in the midst of a deep, dark night, which can never be replaced. Your eyelids feel heavy, as though weighed down with stones. They droop inexorably downwards, pulling you, like a drowning maiden, into the dark, impenetrable abyss of slumber. Interesting thought at this point. She has nightmares, doesn't she? I wonder how they'll work, I guess, in this situation. You yawn. Then you fall asleep, cozied up beside the gravedigger like two cats in a basket. You sleep, and you sleep, and you sleep, more deeply than you have allowed yourself in quite some time. It's time, boys! It's time! But when you awake, you find that you are no longer in the bed upon which you slept in, shrouded by sheets. Also, we're not in our nightgown anymore. She changed our clothes. The gravedigger, too, is nowhere to be seen. Oh god, the breathing is a little claustrophobic. Also, I wonder who breathed into their microphone. Was it the developer? I really hope the developer just went close to their microphone and just went you know, the whole time. Just imagining that is great. Instead, you are quite alone, lying by yourself in the dark. You blink, but your surroundings do not become any clearer. Oh, it's not really— it's like Buried Alive, but it's not the Buried Alive I was thinking. I thought like you would be buried while you were aware of it, but it's more like you're buried alive in the coffin. So you're alive in the coffin, but you're underground now. Is it the middle of the night? Perhaps you're aroused from your slumber by the desire to relieve yourself, or else to slake your thirst. Your sleep has been awfully disordered as of late, and the smallest of noises has been enough to disturb you. That does not sound quite right, though. You slept well, of that you are certain. Your body feels invigorated, as though it has slumbered for hours and hours. How many hours? You do not know. You do not know much of anything. You can feel a strange pinching sensation around your chest, however, and around your arms. It would appear as though somebody, but who else could it be but the gravedigger, changed your attire while you were sleeping. This is a startling thought, but the darkness which entombs you is even more so. The darkness which surrounds you is unsettlingly complete. It is so thick that you cannot penetrate it. Your newfound woes do not stop, however, at this deep, unnatural darkness. It is cold too when you are lying on something hard, some sort of wooden slab. So what you're saying is that this is a maybe stone coffin? I thought it would be a wooden coffin, but I guess not. What is going on? You reach out, but your moments are too stymied. There's something heavy lying atop you, something that is limiting your movements. You're anxious upon waking, but at this discovery, you feel downright aggrieved. A sharp prong of panic pierces you and you try to suppress it. Hysterics will get you nowhere. In most cases, they only tend to make bad situations even worse. You ought to know that already. You swallow your mounting dread as best you can, though it is coming on thick and fast, and trying to squirm. You move your arms outwards, but they do not go very far. There's a wall above you, and walls on either side of you, walls which do not budge no matter how hard you push. Not, I must add, that you can push particularly hard, your anxious state notwithstanding. You have never had much in the way of upper body strength, nor lower body strength. They can't save you either way now, though, because you're 6 feet under. You do not have much in the way of strength at all. You do feel quite helpless as you lie down there, out of breath from your meager exertions, unsure of what you should do. You can hardly see a foot in front of your face. You do not know where you are, nor why, but a terrible premonition is beginning to bear down on you, one which, initially, you tried to discard. You did not want to accept it as a possibility, but where else could the truth lie? You're lying in a box hemmed in by walls that would offer only a scant few inches for you to stretch in any direction. Where else could you be in but a coffin? The moment you allow yourself to ponder this awful reality and the moment you hear it. The irregular sound of drumming. It is as though somebody, though they must be a very large somebody, is tapping their fingertips upon the lid of your coffin. Or it is raining. It is not the fingers of a giantess, though, which is disturbing you, nor is it the falling rain. It is dirt. The sound continues and on as though it's drilling its way inside your skull. It is relentless. It is merciless. Like the ticking of a great celestial clock, it cannot be stopped. Yep. I did not expect it to happen that quickly, though, after a sentimental scene. I did not expect to be buried alive already. Your time is almost running out. But you knew that already, didn't you, when you were running in the forest? You ought to have known, silly thing, that you could not outpace your destiny forever. Sooner or later, it would catch up to you. So is our destiny to die, or is our destiny specifically yandere deaths, right? Because the whole concept, I think, of our character is that she's trying to find solstice in others. Solace, wrong word, again. Solace in others. And she finds these girls, which she thinks, oh, like, this might work out well, but it doesn't. It doesn't. She keeps dying. So, is it loneliness or is it death? You are stubborn, though, and you do not want to accept this. Not content to simply lie there, you cry out. You cry out not for your parents, whom you hardly know, nor for your school friends, for you never had any, and they also bullied you, bro. Instead, you cry out for your new companion, the girl with whom you've been living and with whom you shared one precious, cherished moment. You cry out for the gravedigger. Surely this is some manner of mistake. Once she realizes that you are in fact entombed in one of the coffins she's currently filling, for who else would be moving the dirt above you, she will cease her operations at once. She will pull you out of the darkness back into the world of the living, and she will hold you close. She will embrace you, just like you did to her. She did not mean to harm you, cause you any harm, not when she was so good to you and so kind. Why would she bury you? My question, I've been wondering this whole time. After we've had the moment where the main character, not the main character, the grave digger has said that they get lonely and they don't want to lose her, why would they kill her? Or try to kill her? You cry to her so loudly you fear your vocal cords might tear, all while banging against the roof of your compact prison. You cry desperately, helplessly, and to your relief, your cries do not fall upon deaf ears. The sound of the falling soil stops, albeit briefly. Then you hear a voice. The voice is very faint, given it's being filtered through your coffin's sturdy lid, but you recognize it. So you're awake then, are you, dear one? The gravedigger says. She sighs. Then she says in a perplexed sort of voice, "Now this is a pickle. I was hoping you'd be asleep a couple hours more, so the last time we spoke could have been on better terms. If you keep screaming like that, I'm gonna feel bad." Your companion's words, though distant, are unmistakable. You're so tense that you're attuned to every single syllable, and each of them makes you gasp. Was this not a mistake then? I mean, yeah, we've been new. I've been new at least. Like, you go through a lot. Okay, girl. Does that really mean she meant to bury you alive? You posit this question to the gravedigger as best you can, trying to keep the tremors from your voice as you do. Perhaps you think in your optimism that if you do not let her know how afraid you are, she will reward you for your bravery and let you go when she's already burying you, girl. Oh my god, you poor child. If this is what you are hoping, though, it is in vain. That's right. You really do catch on quick. So it appears she really has committed to the task of burying you. What an unfortunate turn of events. Why, though? Why would she do such a thing? You thought that she was your friend. We are friends, the gravedigger says, her voice still worryingly offhand, worryingly empty. I'm very fond of you. There's nobody dearer to me than you. I've had a really good time with you these last, how long has it been again? I don't remember. Neither do you. Well, if this little detail has slipped both your minds, it can't be all that important. You have other things to worry about. Okay, I feel like that's trying to mislead me. It's like a fake out. It's only been, like, what? Less than a month, I would assume? If you really are friends, you say to the gravedigger, then what does she have to gain by burying you? You do not understand. But you understand her reply even less. Well, here's the thing, the gravedigger says in a reasonable sort of voice, as though burying someone alive could ever be thought of as a reasonable action. I've been digging graves for a long time, see? You cannot see. It is too dark. Don't pull this pun on me. But you affirm that you do all the same. Well, I was digging all these graves, but I had not had anybody to put in them. Not for ages. It was right. Oh my god, that's why, girl? For real? You crazy? You think you know where this train of logic, twisted though it is, might be going, so you do not interrupt her. You know no good would come out of it. All you can do for the present is lie there and listen. I was thinking I'd never find another person to bury in this god-forsaken village. Not after the plague messed everything up. I was getting desperate. To bury a body? Are you fucking nuts? Until you came along, that is. Now that I have somebody to bury, I cannot let the opportunity pass me by. I'm sorry, but it's part of my job. It's what my father taught me to do. It's all I know how to do. I buried my mother, I buried my father, I buried all my friends. Now, I'm gonna bury you too. It is sound logic in the sense, as the daughter of a gravedigger, digging graves is her job, but something about it rankles you. If only you could put your finger on. Yeah, maybe the fact that it's fucking nuts? Ah, yes. There's a bit of a flaw with her reasoning. Is that? Yeah, we're alive. You're not dead after all. You might not be dead now, the gravedigger says in response to your ingenuity. But you will be, if given enough time. I don't want to suffocate, thank you. I mean, everyone else I've ever known died. Who's to say you wouldn't be next? It seems rather than likely that you will die. And quickly, if she persists with her poorly thought out plan to bury you. Your coffin is not very large, it affords you precious little space and precious little air. Eventually, if trapped within it long enough, you'll run out of oxygen. Then you will suffocate. That, or you'll starve to death. Either way, your demise will be a slow, painful one. So, there's two situations then. Two slow, painful deaths. Mermaid, slow, painful death, drowning, oxygen, not there. And then, this one is also a slow, painful death, but it's just under the ground. You're unsure which death could be worse. What if the next one is just like slow, painful death from lack of oxygen, but because she sent you to space. She has the money, she's rich. Next is the castle. You're unsure of which death would be worse, though, given how precarious your situation is. You do not wish to expend the necessary energy needed to ponder it. You need to plead with the gravedigger, and quickly while she's still here. You tell her, tearfully, that you would not leave her. Why would you? You finally found a friend too. I have no doubts that you wouldn't leave her. You try to sound as convincing as your disordered nerves will allow, but the gravedigger remains unmoved. You say that, she says, but how can I know you're telling the truth? I thought you said you were a traveler. They never stay put in one place for long. You'd get sick of me before long. Then, you'd leave me. Yeah, I'm about to leave you when I go die, girl. This way, at least, I can be assured that we'll always stay together forever. If I bury you like I did the others, we'll never be far apart. I even took care to put you in a nice spot close to my home, so you're only a stone's throw away, really. Isn't that nice? No, I'd rather not die, thanks. Privately, you think that the gravedigger has different conception of the word nice to you. You do not say this, however. You cannot say much of anything because the panic has begun to set in. It's choking you, stopping up your throat so you can only cry. You scream. You beg and you plead, but it does little good. The gravedigger has already buried her mother. She's already buried her little brothers. She's even buried her father, whom she loved above all else. She thinks, by burying you, she is doing unto you an act of great kindness. You think that, well, she's going to kill you. In a sense, you're both right. Yeah. Yeah, that's about right, yeah. Your opinions are so diametrically opposed on this matter, however, that you will never be able to find any common ground. You might as well save your screaming. She will not listen to you. She is beyond listening. Shush, shush, dear one, says the gravedigger very gently. Just as gently as she spoke last night when she confided in you all of her fears. It won't be too bad, really. Nothing will be able to hurt you down. Oh, no. I don't think you understand. It might be your commoner brain, but oxygen exists, girl. It'll be just like going to sleep for a really, really long time. You can rest, and while you rest, I'll tend to you. I'll plant flowers on your grave. You'd like that, wouldn't you? I mean, I would. Thanks, I guess. Depends on the flowers, though. This way, we can always be together. And I'll never be lonely again. While the gravedigger speaks, she begins to pile even more soil onto the roof of your coffin. The sound of dirt on top of you, on your arms, your legs, your head, conceals your companion's final words. You cannot hear her. You cannot hear anything besides the sound of the dirt and the scraping of the shovel, and your own desperate, frantic screams. You scream, and you scream, and you scream without cease, until your throat feels hoarse, but your efforts are in vain. You hammer on the lid of the coffin with as much strength as you can muster, but the lid of the coffin is nailed shut. You are in no position to remove it. All you can do is lie there, screaming and crying and banging your fists on the top of the coffin over and over as more dirt and debris falls on top of you. Eventually, enough dirt falls on you to stifle your screams for good. The gravedigger can no longer hear you, and you can no longer hear her. Reasoning is settled. There is none to be had. You're all alone, trapped in a narrow wooden box, which, regardless of what you want, is now your new home. You can smell the soil in the back of your nostrils when you inhale. It is so potent that you can taste it on your tongue. You can taste the eventual, inevitable decay of your own body. You will remain trapped here, underground, forever and ever. Or, to use less melodramatic terms, until the last of your energy escapes you and you succumb to your own slow suffocation. It isn't a very pleasant way to go, but you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. Oh, we're doing this line again. You did bring this upon yourself, you know? No, I did not. I just wanted a friend. You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. I don't think you should be blamed for these, though. Now what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace, or will you try to fight against it? Well, let's save, girl. We're just gonna take the L for this one, and then we'll fight it. Very well then. Enjoy your eternal slumber. I suppose this is good night for now, but it is not goodbye. You cannot escape me, even if you're buried deep beneath the earth. Where there is a will, there is a way. And even if the whole world has forsaken you, I never will. I'll never leave you. And you will never be lonely again. Okay, and that's the Gravedigger end, boys. Let's just get that through. Wait for it to load up. And then we're going in. Fighting. Fight! Are you not happy with the hand that fate has dealt you? Very well, I cannot blame you. It is quite a grim ending. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy. And you are rather dearer to me than that. Now, why don't we give this another go? Try not to get buried alive this time. I can only endure so much of your screaming. That's a little rude, don't you think? You know, maybe narrator, if you didn't dictate the story, it wouldn't be my problem. Your fate is, once again, in your hands. Now I wonder, what path will you take? And then we go to the castle. So you want to go to the castle? And actually, why did I just think change? Why did I go into an accent? I'm gonna stop this one here, just so we can start the new one with the castle one. So, I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye!